Welcome back and thank you for joining us. This is FM104's Phone Show with Adrian Kennedy. If you were listening to the programme last night, Jeremy brought up the whole topic of Ouija boards. We've had an awful lot of interest in the last 24 hours through texts and emails and so on from various listeners, all wanting us to talk about Ouija boards. Talking to us about various experiences that they've had with Ouija boards. A lot of people, as you heard on the show last night, saying don't go near them. Stay clear of them. We heard of one lady who ended up in an asylum as a result of messing around with a Ouija board. To this day, she's still there. We heard some horror stories about, for example, the girl who contacted her sister who had died in a van accident. She missed her so much. 2 weeks later, the girl herself died in an almost identical van accident. But what are Ouija boards? If you've had any experiences with them, we want to hear from you. 6797 FM104. And why do they have such a reputation for being so dangerous? Our resident psychic Louise Kings joins me on the phone to shed a little bit more light on this. We started off this discussion last night, Louise, in a kind of a light-hearted sort of way. And it's kind of gone a bit heavy since then in that these are quite dangerous, are they?
Ouija boards?
Yeah.
Big time. Very much so. Ouija, which if you break it down is 2 words, and basically it means yes in French and German. Now, they've been around for centuries and they were used as occult entertainment. They've now been banned in many countries due to dangerous psychological effects, so I'm not surprised about that story you just discussed about the lady being in the asylum. There are a number of cases like that worldwide. Although there was a time where you could actually buy them in toy stores, although there are people that are replicating them because, you know, it's just a board with the word yes, no, the alphabet and a pointer. Personally, I wouldn't even look at one, never mind using them.
Okay, explain to me how these things work. And Jeremy's just telling me there a moment ago that the Ouija boards are this sell second only to Monopoly worldwide. Believe it or not.
Are you serious?
Yep.
I'm shocked by that, to be honest.
So tell me really exactly. I have to say, I've bar seeing pictures, I've never actually seen a Ouija board. What exactly is it, and what's the whole idea of it? How does it work?
Okay, you have a board. Normally, it's a wooden board, and on this board, there will be to the left, it will say the word yes. To the right, it will say the word no. In the centre, then, will be the alphabet, and then you would use a pointer. Okay, and to operate a board, you're giving off your electromagnetic energy, which we all have, to channel energies through or to make some sort of contact. But to non-experienced users, and even to experienced users, they're opening themselves up and inviting a spirit or entity to come through and make their presence known, whether it be tapping on the table, an object flying, or the pointer moving to the words yes, no, or spelling something out on the alphabet. Now, sometimes it can be a fairly harmless or benign spirit that does come through, but more often than not, it can be a hostile spirit or energy that will and does come through. And again, to non-experienced users who just don't really understand what they're dealing with or what they're doing, they get very frightened. They don't know how to close down. They don't know how to cleanse. They really just don't understand what they're doing or what they've invited in or what to deal with or how to deal with it.
Now, you heard the horror story that I told a couple of moments ago, which was from last night's programme, and we did hear a number of stories, and as I said, since then we've had loads of text messages, loads of emails from people who, a lot of young people, it has to be said, who have been invited to, try out a Ouija board, who are interested to know what it's all about. You're saying categorically, don't go near this stuff.
No, absolutely not. And as I said, even though I've been working as a medium clairvoyant for years, I've done my own ghost busting. I've seen Ouija boards. I have met other people that have used them, but I would categorically never use one myself. They are far too dangerous. I know they sound like a bit of fun and they sound like a bit of
entertainment. That's what I was about to say. An awful lot of people like myself, and I would admit that I'm a cynic when it comes to all of this sort of stuff. Even to tarot reading and all of that. But it's different strokes for different folks. Some people are big into it and believe in it. I personally will be very cynical, and I know an awful lot of people like me would be as well. Therefore, they might think, sure, it's only a bloody board. It's not going to. Jesus, what can go wrong? You're saying that this is something is going to go wrong.
Well, you're sitting there, whether it be one or two people or a group of people, you are inviting, not you personally, but you're inviting something to come through. They're not cleansing themselves. They're not making their area sacred or anything. And quite obviously, anything can and has and does come through. I have met a lot of people over the years who have some of their own scary stories to tell. There have been some cases where nothing will happen. Nothing will move. But having said that, now there are other cases where the unconscious mind of the person operating it can actually be moving the pointer but not believe that they're doing it themselves. Very close to Ouija board or automatic handwriting. It's another time where instead of using a board, you're using a pen and paper.
Mm-hmm.
And basically you're just holding a pen over a paper, and you're inviting the spirit in to come and take control of the pen.
A lot of people are interested in experimenting with Ouija boards, and it's spelled Ouija for people.
Yeah.
It's not wedgie or Ouija or it's
Ouija.
O-U.
We, as in French, yes, and German, yes. So what you're saying is yes, yes.
Yes, okay, so it's Ouija board. A lot of people are very interested in experimenting it, if for no other reason than to prove to themselves, perhaps. There's people who would be cynical, who would be non-believers in an afterlife or a spirit world. A lot of people think, I'm going to try this just to see if it's all a load of crap or if there's anything to this. Is everybody who experiments with a Ouija board going to see something that's going to freak them out? Or
not always. Sometimes nothing will happen at all.
Yeah. So why is that?
Why? It really depends on the people that are there. It depends on their own electromagnetic energy. And for anybody that is thinking of doing a Ouija board, especially never to be done when any alcohol or drugs have been taken, because you are not yourself.
And give me examples. I mean, we did hear some stories last night, but give me examples of the sorts of things that can go wrong.
Well, what can go wrong is that a hostile entity or spirit can come through. I don't like saying this word, but sometimes it can take it can take almost a sense like it's a little bit like a possession or take over as a host, and that energy can be around a person for a while.
And that's exactly what we heard of.
They don't have to move. They don't have to move on. They don't have to cleanse. Excuse me. They don't know how to send that spirit back.
Yes, and this is exactly what we heard last night of the lady who ended up in the asylum as a result of being, for want of a better word, possessed.
There are actually quite a number of cases, and a lot of them don't really come to light. But if you were to do some more research, I have done a little bit of it, and it's actually quite scary. And as I said before, I'm not saying the board itself is dangerous, but the people that are using it.
All right, let me go to Liam. You're on FM104. Liam, how are you?
Hello.
Liam, tell me what happened to your sister.
Well, what happened was we're at a party, it's a good 10 years ago, and we're in Leaflet. It doesn't matter saying Leaflet. But we're at a party, as I said. The guys were in the kitchen having a few jars and all that. And there was a Ouija board thing going on in the sitting room, right? And my sister Phyllis, she was always very gamey, always up for everything, She would do anything, She was crack, great crack, But she got into this Ouija board thing. And the next thing, I was standing in the kitchen, and next thing I saw her running out of the house. And I ran after her, I thought, some guy had said something to her or whatever, And I ran after her and I said, Phyllis, what the hell is wrong with you? And she was absolutely in tears, Adrian. I tell you, she was drowning in tears.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, what happened? And she said, Liam, you wouldn't believe what I have just seen or believed. I said, right, okay, is everything all right? Yeah, grand. And she went home. And, as I said to Ron on the interview phone or whatever, she died 2 weeks later, God, something she saw.
Sorry,
whatever.
she died 2 weeks later?
Yeah, she was dead 2 weeks later, yeah.
And did she ever explain to you in that 2 weeks what it was that she saw?
No, this is the thing, she...
And do you believe that what she saw that night had some impact or influence in her ultimate death?
Absolutely, Adrian. Absolutely.
Was she ill, or in what way?
No, she was a fine girl,
In what way did she die?
Well, that's another long story. I mean, John Harbison was involved in the case, and
Okay, so she didn't die of natural causes, is what you're saying?
No, she did not. No, she didn't. No.
She died in suspicious circumstances.
Yeah, but she was only 28, and I was 27 at the time. And we were great buddies. We were in London together, and we had a great time.
But from that moment of the Ouija board incident, from what she's telling you, she saw something, and ultimately, within 2 weeks, she was dead. And you're absolutely convinced there is a connection between the two?
Yes, I think Phyllis was that kind of a deep person. She saw something, she didn't want to see it. And what she saw scared the shit out of her, right? And she was just gone, out the door, bang. That was the way she was, She was a great character, as I said. She played guitar. She taught me how to play the guitar,
You were saying that John Harbison was involved in investigating her death. Did you ever find out what happened to her?
Well, the eventual thing was she died from asphyxiation. So, I mean, that's the way it went, But I don't know, I mean, to many people to dabble in this kind of black magic, would you call it black magic or whatever?
I don't know, would you call it black magic, Louise?
Pardon?
I would personally put it on that side, under the black. I've studied white, and I personally would put Ouija under the black.
Yeah. You would categorise it as black magic?
Yeah, and same way I wouldn't recommend anybody dabble. And
when you hear a story like this story, which is obviously horrific...
it is horrific, and it's sad to hear, but I have to say it's not it's not an isolated incident. I've heard many stories like that. I've heard them since I was a child, and I've always had this thing about Ouija board, just never wanted to see one. I have seen one, but I've never wanted to use one, never take part, and I haven't. And I just strongly recommend.
And this is from a lady who is very well respected in quotes, the spirit world. In that this is your business, this is what you do, and you would not dabble in the Ouija board. It's just too dangerous in your opinion.
They're just far too dangerous, and even for experienced users, and I would consider myself an experienced user, and I still wouldn't. Somebody
rang just a moment. Thanks for your call, Liam. Somebody rang just a moment ago to ask, how do you cleanse after using a Ouija board?
Well, it's not so much cleansing after. The more important cleansing is before, even before using a board. Depending on the amount of people, whether it be 2, 4, 6, or the number of people there, literally you've got to imagine like a white light covering all of you. Like there is a cloak, and you specify that on the type of spirit that you want, that the spirit must be a good and positive spirit, and that you only want to speak with the spirit for a short space of time, but you've got to keep the whole area and each person cleansed before, during and after, and then you've got to do a closing down, which is obviously sending the spirit back, thanking them and sending them back.
Okay, and if you don't do that properly, then you're into the possibility of the likes of the stories that we have heard, where the spirit refuses to go back and then occupies a living soul or whatever. Yeah.
Some people call it zombifying or a possession or hosting. And as I said, there are a lot of good spirits out there, but there are a lot of other spirits, and they're not necessarily earthbound spirits. They're just spirits that never actually even made it here.
Michael, you're on FM104. How are you, Michael?
How are you?
Not bad, thank you, Michael.
I just want to say that I've never used one of these now myself. Just my cousin did. She did it with her friend. Now, I don't think that nothing happened. I think that they were just messing around. They were moving it themselves. No real spirit contact.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that really freaks me out is the movie The Exorcist. Based on a true story. Now, the girl in that, she gets in contact with the devil, Pazuzu. It's not really the devil, it's a spirit called Pazuzu. And the spirit then takes her as a host body and possesses her. Now, that freaks me out the most.
All right, never used them though. Anita, you're on FM104. Tell me the story of your uncle.
First of all, I have to say I'm a virgin caller, but I had to ring on about this.
Well, you're very welcome, Anita.
My uncle, it's gone back 30 years ago, and he used to dabble around with the Ouija board. But he came over to my man's house one night, and my mum and my dad were there, and he said to my dad, like, look after my ma, like, he says within the next few days he'll be gone, and Joel saying to him, like, shut up with you, which is just stupid. himself, me, Auntie Fran, and a few of them used to mess with the Ouija board. But anyway, back on to my Uncle Richard. He said his goodbyes. He gave me ma a nice present, and they were all saying he's going weird. Like, they knew he was messing about with the Ouija board, but didn't know how strong he was into it. But 2 days after he said that, his car ploughed. He's gone down to Glasnevin Garage, and his car ploughed out action, like, onto the road, and he was killed out the street.
My God. So he knew...
He knew his death was coming on him. It was actually being told to him on the Ouija board.
Is that possible that you can learn that information from a Ouija board, Louise?
Unfortunately, yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that was his natural time was up. But again, when you're dealing with a Ouija board, you're giving control of yourself to something else that you don't know what it is.
Wow.
Yeah, and Auntie Fran did as well, Adrian. She messed about with him as well, and in the weeks following it, our son died of cot death. My ma was meant to be minding him that morning, and he died of cot death, and she lost her eye through it as well.
All right, let me go to Michael. You're on FM104. Michael, how are you?
Hi there, Adrian. Listen, first of all, congratulations. Great topic. Well done.
All right, thank you very much indeed.
So, listen, a couple of my friends did a couple of years ago, and basically it was the most scariest experience I've ever had the misfortune to do in my entire life. It was absolutely terrifying.
Tell me what happened.
Like, whatever you want to call it, we got some weird spirit. And basically, we kept on asking it, basically, will you leave us, like? And it kept on saying, no, no, no. And out of the blue, suddenly the glass suddenly just smashed. And it was terrifying experience. Like nobody now, like, we were all there. And
this isn't one of your mates taking the piss or.
Oh, good. No way, because it's like, if you smash glass on your hand, Adrian, you can, you get all cuts or whatever. All the glass hands were grand, and the glass suddenly just smashed. Scariest experience I have ever done my entire life. So basically, like, a couple of hours afterwards, just went to these different psychics and said, listen, what can we do? How can we get rid of it? And one lad now has to sleep in his bed, with salt all around the guy's bed. They don't even ask. People,
with what? Sorry, with what? With salt?
With salt. Now, I have no idea why, but they basically said that it's some weird thing that gets rid of a spirit. Like, that's just what the psychic said, but it was...
Does that make any sense to you, Louise?
Using the salt?
Yeah.
Yeah, salt is known as a spiritual cleanser. It goes back centuries. So salt is like, literally kind of... In the fiction of garlic with vampires, salt is kind of something similar with spirits like that. But with bringing in spirits, you've got to take control. You asked the spirit, are you going to leave us? It said no.
Yeah.
You've to send the spirit back. When you're doing ordinary mediumship, when you're bringing in a loved one for somebody else, you know exactly who you're inviting in. With the Ouija board, you're asking anything to come in. So a spirit will say, no, you've brought it in. It's like an uninvited guest, so you've got to take control and say, you must go.
But Adrian, it was terrifying. Like, sorry Louise there, we were absolutely breaking it. Like, we were, like, terrified. The guy who's used the salt, like, has never been the same. Like, he's just still terrified. Like,
all he needs to do is go through a cleansing experience with the psychic or with a medium or anybody like that, and just to sort of cleanse it from him, and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not sensing there's anything bad there at all, so he'll be fine.
That's great.
All right, thanks very much indeed, Michael.
More comfort than anything else.
But that whole salt thing makes perfect sense to you, Louise.
Sorry?
That whole salt thing makes perfect sense to you.
It does, yeah. Because salt is like imagining a white line. It's like a boundary line. It goes back centuries.
All right, let me go to Brian. You're on FM104. How are you, Brian?
Hello, Adrian.
Now, Brian, you're a goth.
Yes.
And you've used one of these Ouija boards before.
I've used them many times, however, it doesn't work as well as people are saying it works.
Yeah, well,
First of all, they are significantly dangerous, and if you do it correctly, you will die, unless you return the spirit. What happens is, if you use the Ouija board correctly, a spirit will come from an entity, as I call them, will come from another dimension. It will be released, and this entity does not want to be brought into this world. It doesn't like it in this world. Have you seen stuff like Most Haunted? You see orbs.
Yes, I have. Yes.
That's what these entities are. They're orbs. They're orbs that have not been returned to their dimension. And the person who uses the Ouija board asks a question or plays music or whatever relation it has, and it brings out the spirit will kill that person. It will not kill anyone related to it. That woman talking about the cot death and all, it's not related to the Ouija board. It will only kill the person who's used the Ouija board, unless he does the same thing again to put that spirit back in. But otherwise, he will die. There is no limit.
So what do you... Hang on, let me just clarify what you're saying here. Are you saying that if you use a Ouija board, you're going to die?
Exactly. The spirit will kill you.
And you dabble in this stuff all the time?
Yes.
Why would you be dabbling in something that's going to kill you?
Well, I can put it back in. However, you do not see the spirits. The spirits don't talk to you. You get a strange sensation. Do you want to know where Gothic music comes from? It comes from the Ouija board. When you bring out the spirit, you'll get that strange sensation. You'll hear that kind of music. However, it's more distorted. No human instrument can actually play it. So it can only be played in your mind, but it's a distorted version of Gothic metal, basically. And that's basically what you hear when this happens. And you get a very strange sensation. And you know then it's worked correctly when you get this sensation. Then you got to put it back in as quickly as possible.
Does that all make sense to you, Louise? I mean, like I said, I've hardly even seen a Ouija board.
Although I agree they're dangerous, to say that if you use a Ouija board you're going to die is, as far as I'm concerned,
bit of an exaggeration.
Incorrect. What I am saying is, yes, they can be dangerous. Although I will agree with what he says, that some of the spirits that come through do not want to be brought through. And that's the difference between using a Ouija board and doing ordinary mediumship. It's totally different.
I've seen many people die as a result of using a Ouija board.
Sorry?
I've seen many people die as a result of using a Ouija board.
I would agree there have been a number of cases, but to state that anybody that uses one is going to die is
not
totally
exactly.
incorrect.
They have to use it correctly.
Even correctly used, they're still dangerous.
Yes, that's what I mean. I said if you don't use it correctly, it won't do anything at all.
Even using them correctly can still be dangerous.
No, but you're not listening. If you use them correctly, they're fatal. If you don't use them correctly, they'll do nothing at all. It's just
tell me, why would you use them at all then, if that's the case?
Exactly. Why do people use them? Use them because it's our hobby. It's what we do. As you said, we're weird. Although I disagree with that. But
I never said Gothics were weird.
No, someone else said it. I wasn't listening.
Janine, you're on FM104. How are you, Janine?
Hi, I'm Grant. How are you?
Good. What's your point, please, Janine?
I heard someone disagreeing that the Ouija board didn't work. I just want to say that it's so scary. Like,
come on, tell me what happened.
I was like 16. I'm 18 now. It was 2 years ago, and me and my friends were during the summer. Like, we were so bored. So there was like this old caravan, and like it was 10 o'clock at night, so it was pretty dark. And we just like made up our own Ouija board from paper, like. And I didn't really want to do it, but I was kind of like dragged into it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually worked. Like, it was unreal. We were talking to this girl called Teresa, and she was telling us exactly where she was standing in the room, and she told us like to put out her hands, and you could actually feel the shape of her body, like with the coldness. It was unreal. And then the candles went out and everything. Oh my god! And we were just asking her loads of stuff, like, and she was telling us everything about.
And how were these questions being answered?
Just through like it was like we had like letters out, the alphabet written out on the paper.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So she'd kind of like, we'd ask her questions and she'd answer yes or no, like. So she knew everything about like in our friends' lives or whatever, and we were asking her questions. Like, I asked her like my June cert was coming up, and I asked her what I'd get,
mm-hmm.
and I got what she said. Like, she told me my mum would have kidney failure and all this, and that she'd been in hospital in 2 years, and my mum was just out of hospital now. She said, what else did she say? I can't really remember now, but it's just unreal. Like,
and were you not totally freaked out by this and wanting to run?
I was. I couldn't sleep for like a week after it, and my mum wanted me to go to the doctor, like whatever. But like I was so scared. But yeah, my friends were like totally freaked out as well. But I don't know. It wasn't really like it wasn't an evil spirit, like as people said.
Okay, and this is what Louise was saying earlier on. You can bring in an evil spirit, and that's where you're into really bad news. You were just fortunate then, were you?
Yeah, I was totally fortunate. Like, even like the spirit that we were talking to, she was saying that she was a wife of an army guy, and that she was she died, like it wasn't a murder or anything, like. So she was like
And she was at peace, yeah.
But she was saying that there is evil spirits and they do come true very easily. Like. And then a second time we tried it again on Halloween. I was 17 and we were on top of a shed for some strange reason, and we had candles and all the candles went out, and we just asked, are you good or evil spirit? And it said bad spirit, so we just burnt the paper. But my friend went in and went to bed and she kept hearing strange noises and everything So that night we got a bad spirit, but thank God nothing happened to me or whatever.
All right, well I have to say every single call we're getting is a call with a warning. Don't dabble in this stuff. Don't go near it. It's bad news. And even for those of us, and I would put myself in this camp, I have to say, I would be a bit of a cynic where it comes to all this sort of stuff. I wouldn't be an over-believer in the spirit world and all of that. But hearing these stories would make you think twice. Nolene, you're on FM104. How are you, Nolene?
Hello, Adrian.
How are you, love?
This is Nolene.
Nolene, tell me the story about your daughter.
I'm a psychic.
You're a psychic, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I am. And I'm ringing up about my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She messed in the Ouija boards about 5-6 years ago. She started getting these crazy, mad headaches. I brought her everywhere. Brought her over to England, hardly sleep. Everywhere. Nothing wrong with her. But she could dream about things. And anything she dreamt about came true.
Like what?
Like people having accidents. A lot of tragic things came true.
And would she... Say, for example, if she had a dream about somebody having an accident, would she tell somebody about this accident before it actually happened?
No, but I actually knew because I started getting these headaches, these mad vibes in my head. And I kind of knew because her mood would all change. Her whole mood change. And she was actually able to tell them in her dreams what actually came true. I brought her to a priest and the priest got afraid of her. She's like two different people. I actually knew by the way she was carrying on.
Wait, is she schizophrenic or...?
Sorry?
Is she schizophrenic?
No, she's in college. She has been away and travelled the world, everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I even know when she's coming home. She doesn't even have to ring me, I just know.
And this is all to do with the Ouija board?
Yeah. The minute she started messing with it, her whole attitude changed. Everything changed.
She became a completely different person?
Different person, yeah. Really different, yeah.
Now, you heard our resident psychic Louise saying a while ago that these are bad news and you shouldn't dabble in them. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I think they're bad news, yeah. I really do think they're bad news. Because I can dream as well of accidents happening, and they happen. Now, I couldn't put a face on it, but I know exactly what's going to happen.
But have you ever used a Ouija board?
Never in my life, no. But I think there's an L in your life.
You think there's an L in my life?
Yeah. Female.
2 L's in my life, actually, as it happens.
2 L's, is there?
2 female L's, as it happens.
Is there a C as well? Child?
No, not a C, no.
No. But C's. I think they're bad news anyway.
You think
I really do.
You think they're bad news? All right, yeah. Very good. Colm, you're on FM104. How are you, Colm?
How are you?
Again, a party with a few mates, and you decided. Well, one of the mates obviously said, "Let's try a Ouija board." What happened with you?
We were all doing it then one night. We all.
God, your phone line is cracking as well. God, this is really starting to freak me out.
No, we were at a slumber party. We were only about 16.
Colm, is that your phone? It's awful.
I don't think so.
I'll have to get the lads to call you back in a second.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Are you on a landline? Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the wire in the phone. It sounds awful.
Hold on, I think that's it now, is it?
Sounds a bit better to me.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah, I was at a slumber party. I was around 16, and we all went to sleep. We were all hammered actually, and we were doing it. But it got very, very scary because we heard my mate waking up and screaming for some reason. I came down and I seen him with a knife, slashing it. I said, "What the hell is he doing?" So one of my mates caught his hand and shook him, and he just woke up, and we didn't know what was going on then, and he couldn't remember. He could only remember going to sleep. And I wouldn't do it ever again after that.
And what do you think happened to him? Do you think he got possessed, or...?
I don't know, but he was the one, as your man said the last time, he was the one that the person had only talked to him, but, we had to ask the other guy questions.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the only one that would take them. But he was getting freaked out. I don't even talk to him now. It was just crazy. I couldn't even sit with him anymore because it just makes me sick. And
Well, this fella does.
Yeah. I can't sit with him or anything because I don't trust him for some reason because he still does it. He gets a thrill out of it. I wouldn't do it again, and I wouldn't recommend it to
You'd advise anybody listening not to go near it.
Yeah, exactly, because it's absolutely foul.
Good man, Colin. Thank you. This is really weird. This is, I have to say, and crackling phone lines isn't helping. I have to tell you. Aircon, please, if you don't mind. Jill, you're on FM104. How are you, Jill?
Hi, Adrian. How's it going?
Very well, thanks, Jill. Tell me your story, Jill.
One of my friends told me recently that she was playing the Ouija board with her cousin, and they were 18 at the time, and it spelled out 21 dies in car crash. So over the next couple of weeks, they looked at the news or whatever to see was there a bus crash, and nothing happened. But when she was 21, she actually died in a car crash.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so ever since then, I wouldn't go near them.
Dear, oh dear. That's like the story we heard last night of a girl who wanted to contact her sister, who had only died a couple of weeks beforehand in a crash in a van, and she missed her sister dearly, and 2 weeks later this same girl died in a van crash almost identical herself.
Yeah, I heard that last night.
Wow.
Just bad news.
Bad news indeed, you're right. Okay, let me go to Paddy. You're on FM. Oh, Paddy's not there. Pat, you're on FM.
Yeah, how's it going?
Not a bother, thank you, Pat.
I had a bad experience. A couple of us had a bad experience with it. We done the Luigi board one night in a field. We were having a few drinks, and when we done it, we done this with a glass, and we moved the glass. It told us to spell out the name and spell out everything that we wanted to know, and it kept telling us to let it out, to lift the glass off the Luigi board. If we to lift the glass off the Luigi board, we would allow the spirit. It said it was a good spirit. It told us it was a good spirit, and it wasn't a good spirit. It wanted to lift. If we to lift the glass, the spirit would have got out, and it was a bad spirit. But that night, what we did, we kept going. We kept messing with it, and we said that we'd take the glass in and smash it in the wall. And we took the glass and we smashed it in the wall. But when I was coming home, I saw trains coming towards me, and I saw cars and lorries coming towards me, and flying into me.
Where were they coming from?
I would have been to nowhere. It wasn't a drink because I hadn't much drink in me. But
that's what I was about to ask you. Were you drinking or were you smoking the funny weeds?
Oh, yes, no, I never smoked that. Oh, God, no, I wouldn't smoke that stuff. So I wouldn't. But they were coming with, like, bill hooks that you could have hedged with.
My God. I
thought, say, geez, they're going to kill me. And so say, I'm dead, say. And I got into the car and it kept going, and the next minute they were still coming, these trains in front of me. Coming, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Did any of them hit you?
None of them hit, no, they just went through me. I say, what's the name of Jesus? That's it, what's going on? Say, that's the Ouija board, that Jesus, say, never die again. But that finished that, so it did. But I wouldn't have been afraid, I wasn't afraid of it. I drove home 30 miles after that. But, they're a thing that there's one thing, you never go into the unknown. And that's for certain.
It certainly is the unknown, it appears. Tell me, Paddy, your friend used one before and then threw it in the fire and they couldn't find out the reason why.
Yeah, well, a few years ago, a brother of mine bought one of these sort of antique type of things. Paid big money for it. But we decided anyway to set it up and have a go at it. But right as we were about to start, an uncle of mine walked in. And the colour just drained from his face. He just went white. He just grabbed the board over and threw it on the fire. And Tom said, what are you doing? I paid whatever for that shag and yoke, you know. And he wouldn't tell, he wouldn't talk, he wouldn't say why or whatever. But after then, you know, on numerous occasions, I said to him, look, what the hell happened to you? Why were you so frightened of the board? What? And he said that he couldn't talk about it. He said that people had died. He said that his life was ruined by it, but now never actually said why. But anything you could tell by
you could see the sheer terror in his face.
Absolutely terrified.
Wow.
And he just grabbed it over and straight into the fire. And he said, if you ever see anybody with a board, and you're not going to get rid of it, you get rid of yourself. Get out of it. Don't participate in any manner or form. Now, I'm not the type of person that believes in mystic megs or septic
No, and
eggs
I have to say, Paddy, nor am I. But my God, I can honestly tell you. Firstly, the reaction to this topic has been overwhelming, and secondly, the negative calls that we've gotten are 99.9% to 1.
Well, this guy, for this must be 15, 16 years ago, maybe more. But I oftentimes said to him after when I talked to him, and he
like
said
whatever happened to you that night?
Heard of anyone having anything but negative results. Now I'm 57 years of age, and where I came from, there was a fairy rat, and there was supposed to be ghosts. I never seen anything in my life. But if you seen that guy, as soon as his eyes seen the board, he was ivory. I was the same as somebody drained the blood out of his body.
Wow.
But they're, like I say, I don't believe in these things, and even to this day, I don't believe in them.
No, well, I have to say, even having listened to all the calls that we've listened to, I would say,
Yeah,
I would still be very cynical about it.
Bullshit type of thing. But I never, he's not a guy, he was a businessman, he was educated, he was sound in every other form.
But just this particular thing
it freaked him. But he said, when we questioned him on it, and we questioned him for years and years, and even to this day, if I ask him, he's 75, 76 years of age now, or a bit better, and if you said to him now, and he just said, look, just stay away. He says, it ruined my life. He says, people died, everything else.
My God.
It's all negative.
Certainly sounds like bad news. All right, thank you for your call. We'll squeeze in 2 last calls on this. Siobhan, you're on FM104. Hey, Siobhan.
How are you, Adrian?
How are you, love?
That was just an incident I had years ago. We were in a flat in, where I live in Ballymun, and a friend of mine decided, a few beers, he said, to get a Ouija board together. But I just sat in the room. I said, no way I'm getting involved in this, I was terrified. So eventually we got a spirit anyway, and it would only take one person, as they were saying, and they were asking, they just took through a certain friend of mine, they took in, she was terrified, she started roaring and crying, and she says, oh, please tell her, she wanted one of us to go out and get a knife and stab this certain person, because this girl, her name was Aoife, and I'd love him to look up this, because her name was Aoife, she was from Harrows Cross, and she was killed on a motorbike. This is going back about 18 years ago. And one of the lads said that he'd actually look her up and see if it was true, But she was roaring and crying, and she said to her brother, she says, please stop this. She says, I can't handle it. Because she knew the answers, like she was drunk, Carol was drinking, And the girl was saying, tell her, you have to stop drinking. She said, not to be drinking, she says, because she wasn't making sense, and the glass was just spinning around the board, And they just wanted us to go out and get a knife and stab it, because she reminded her of her sister. And, with us killing her, that means our sister be with her, you know what I mean? Like, she wasn't resting till her sister was with her. So it was just going on for ages, and she wouldn't leave, So eventually we were all laughing. He said, tell them to stop laughing. And she kept spelling out HR, and we were all shit, and I just left the room. I said, that's it. I said, she spoke about my father. He wasn't well, which he wasn't, and he passed away since, and a friend of mine's father, and she started roaring and crying. And my friend, that she only wanted her hand on the glass, if you know what I mean, and just spun off the table. Now, it was only a little coffee table, right, about 2 feet off the ground, and the glass just shattered. Now, there's no way, and a carpet and everything, the glass just shattered, But I'd love him to, look her up and see if there was a girl called Aoife. We're talking about 18 years ago.
We'll have to follow up on that and see if there was anything to that. Let's just squeeze in one last call, just to end on a kind of a positive sort of note. Stephen, you had a good experience with the Ouija board.
How are you?
How are you, Stephen? Yeah, go on.
Now, I lost my sister when I was 14. And it was about when I was 16, we were all having a laugh, and one of the lads pulled out the Ouija board. So we were all sitting down. Next fall, we got it. And she spelled out, she asked, we got a spirit, asked a few names, is Stephen with you? And I was saying, I wanted to get away, but I just said to her, I said, who's that? Just started going around the letters. His name was Tracy. And so everything was gone then, and she asked all the other lads to get their hand off the bottle. So it was just me talking to her. And we were there, now I was there for about a good half an hour, and it was good experience. It was about twice I done it, and twice I got through to her.
And twice she communicated with you and talked to you, and you had a conversation, and everything was okay.
Yeah, I never dreamed about it since that, or whatever. But I had a great conversation, and that cheered me up then.
That's a good story to end on. Thank you very much indeed for your calls. The message, I think, is loud and clear from that discussion. Don't dabble with Ouija boards because they're bad news.